Okay, so it's something I want to talk about. And before I get started, I kind of find myself getting confused and lost about how to go about these videos. Like the more and more I make this kind of content, I just kind of I'm not really sure how to put it. Just I don't know if I should switch it up or continue to do this because I don't know if it's working or not. I haven't really given it enough time to see if it's working. But I don't know. I tend to just overthink sometimes about shit like that. But that's not what this video is about. If you see the title, whatever the title may be, I think it's going to be about Gen Z being under spiritual warfare. And that's very true. And this has been something I wanted to touch on for a long time that I really don't see anybody talking about. Everyone says like, "Oh, Gen Z is cooked," or we're all lost or whatever. But no one's really putting like they're not highlighting the fact that it is genuinely spiritual warfare. You know, greed, lust, pride, envy, sloth, gluttony. I may be missing one, but the seven deadly sins. I'm going to touch on that topic and I'm going to kind of specify where we are in society and how all of that is affecting us. And for starters, I can say that social media plays a huge part in the spiritual warfare. So, I'm going to speak from personal experience when I say this. It's really all about consumption and how social media is guiding young minds. Really, myself included. Like, back when I was in high school, I used to listen to all types of music. I used to watch all types of content, and I would consume that. And I found myself kind of being influenced to speak a certain way, to do certain things, etc., solely because of the content that I was consuming. You know, like you take a rap song or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be rap. It can be any kind of music, but I'm gonna use rap for example, just because of what rap has become now today and what it's been for like the past 10 years or so. It's really just a bunch of negative, derogatory, glorified sin. You know, a lot of the rap music nowadays glorify doing drugs, having sex with multiple partners, violence, gang related crime, etc. And Gen Z has a substance abuse problem. Gen Z is overly violent and they're desensitized to it. Like it's just okay to think like this, to move like this. Like I see back when I was in high school, I graduated in 2020, right? People were already doing drugs, and you can say that's normal, like, oh, kids do drugs, they smoke weed. Like, no, 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 not weed. Like, I'm not talking about weed. I'm talking about like drugs, and I don't know. I'm not monetized yet, so I'm just gonna talk about it anyways. But I mean like the hard stuff, the shit that makes you docile, the shit that makes you, not have to feel anything, numbing your life experience so you don't have to feel anything, etc. And I'm kind of just yapping here because I don't have a whatchamacallit, a script or anything. I'm kind of just going off the dome, and I just woke up too, so it's like I'm really trying to I don't really know, just be raw and uncut, I guess. But anyways, I literally lost sleep over thinking about this shit because I just find it so crazy and it's scary, but it's not scary that we're under spiritual warfare. It's scary that people just don't really care. I feel like our generation, we're not retarded, but we just stopped caring. You know, we know that we're under attack, and we know that we fight the invisible fight. You know, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. However, we don't change our ways. We just let things influence us because we have gotten used to comfort. No one wants to fight anymore. No one wants to go against the darkness, the evil that runs the world because it takes effort. It's hard, right? And that's our problem with Gen Z. And that's what I want to touch on as well. Like one of the sins is sloth, you know. Sloth is laziness, right? Sloth is sitting there doing nothing. However, sloth isn't just a physical aspect of laziness, it's also a spiritual one as well. You know, knowing what you're supposed to do, but being too lazy to care or to try to do anything, to change, that's the real detrimental laziness of sloth, you know? And that's the impact it's had on our society, our generation. We just don't want to try. We don't care, you know? Like, I remember people used to actually want to work, like, whether it was work on themselves, like physically, mentally, emotionally, or financially. And now getting a job has become a meme. Like, you see it all the time on the internet when people kind of shit on you for having a job. You can take a McDonald's employee and you'll see someone recording you, or not recording you, but recording them in the drive-thru saying, "Oh, you work at McDonald's, your life sucks." Meanwhile, they don't have a job. Meanwhile, they don't have any type of financial flow or income coming in. You know, they don't do anything. They just scroll on TikTok, Instagram, social media all day, and they don't do shit with their lives. You got people shitting on janitors, plumbers, like kind of good jobs, you know, especially plumbers. But I'm kind of getting off topic here, but it's really just the principle of the matter that people with jobs are getting made fun of for working. Like it's bad to get money, to want money to try to build something, and society has made it a joke, you know. Society has made it frowned upon to work. And a part of it comes from like the slave mentality that, oh, if you're working for the man, you're working for the government, you're a slave or whatever. But you got to get with the times, man. We need money, you know. And not everyone can just hop on social media and do basically virtually nothing and then blow up. I feel like there's a real like a luck factor that plays into that, but it doesn't matter, you know. Sloth and gluttony, they kind of go hand in hand, right? I believe because gluttony is overconsumption, you know, feeding yourself more than you need until it becomes detrimental to you, until it harms you, right? Like say for instance, let's just use social media as an example of gluttony, 'cause that's really what I'm talking about here. The It's really just like a surge in screen time. You know, people getting on their phones and they scroll for hours and hours and hours on end, mindlessly. They go down a rabbit hole of all this shit on the internet, all this shit on social media. And next thing you know, when they look up from their phone, the whole day is gone. And I'm not talking about like other people. Like, yes, other people do this, but really, like, I've done this before. I've genuinely lost track of time simply just by scrolling. And I probably had other things to do that day, which I did. Like, literally had other things to do that day. Like, something that I want to work on, like whether it's myself or I wanted to go run some errands, and I just didn't do it because I opened up TikTok, not having the discipline or not following the discipline that I have, but just, you know, I don't care today. I don't want to try today. I don't feel like doing the work today. And that's when you fall into sin. You know, sin preys upon us on our own mental fortitude, or on our own spiritual awareness. You know, it's not like we don't have the answers or anything, but we can still fall victim to the sin. And I know I may be like talking in circles here, or not necessarily circles, but just maybe getting off like track. And I kind of struggle with that. You know, talking about one thing, and my mind is moving at a million miles per hour, so I kind of just jump on the next thing. But it doesn't matter. You know, if you're paying attention, I appreciate you. So, anyways, with music, music carries frequencies and vibrations that we as humans or spiritual beings can pick up on, right? Because you know, our soul is that's our spirit, right? The vibrations that go out through the world, the frequency that we can actually feel those things and pick up on those things. Like, for example, someone in the street says something crazy to you. Maybe it's racist. Maybe it's, I don't know, fucking misogynistic or whatever. I can't even think of an example, but it's bad. You know, you feel negative about it. Negative words carry negative vibrations, right? So you, as a spiritual being, is going to pick up on that frequency and those vibrations, and it is going to change how you feel, whether it be mentally, emotionally, etc. And you can either react and you stoop down to their level, and now you're both, you know, not vibing with each other, both moving negatively, or you can, you know, take that in and be like, okay, I know what this person's on, and I'm not getting into it today, right? However, let's say someone says something positive to you, right? Hey man, you look good today. Hey man, I love those shoes. Or hey man, that haircut's crazy, right? It's awesome. Not in not a bad way, you know, in a good way, obviously. You are happy. You're in a better mood. You're walking on sunshine now, like somebody made your day. Especially if it was like a beautiful woman that just gave you a compliment. Now you're really feeling good about yourself. That's positive vibrations. You feel those frequencies, you know. And that is the same in music as well. When these rappers push this narrative of violence and multiple sex partners or drug abuse, it is hacking your brain, brainwashing you, conditioning you into thinking that this shit's okay. On top of that, the beat is cool, the vibe is cool. You're like, hell yeah, like, and people don't listen to the lyrics to music, right? I mean, I've fallen victim to this. I started actually like, I used to listen to a bunch of bullshit. Like, funny enough, I used to listen to a lot of like just crazy ass rap or crazy ass rock, not knowing exactly what the hell they were actually saying. But people usually just listen to the beat, and that's what makes the song cool. You know, it makes the song good because, oh, the beat's hard and I'm feeling this. But it's really just a mask covering up the narrative that's being pushed, the agenda that's being pushed. And it's leading society into moving like these rappers, you know? Oh, they glorify this type of stuff, you know? Like cheating, adultery, and doing drugs, robbing people. It's making kids want to be gangsters, thinking that it's cool, listening to this type of music, and it's actually harming society. But no one's doing anything about it. Why are the rappers so popular? You know, why are they so heavily pushed on social media? Why are normal people, worshiping these people like gods? You know, they're not following God. They're following Little Baby, they're following Drake on Instagram. They're following these people. You know, you take something like social media, and you have the option to follow them. You know, but we don't follow the most important thing, and that is the Lord. You know, that's what we need to be rich in our spirit, right? But we consume this harmful substance, which is whether it's the music, the media, the social media, etc. That is within our spirits, causing you not to only be at war with yourself, but at war with your spiritual self as well. And I could really talk about this kind of stuff all day, but I really don't want to make this an overly long video. Like, so far it's already been like 15 minutes, and I haven't even got I haven't even got through half the list, you know. But anyways, moving on. Just to conclude this topic, I want to say that we need to like actually start treating our bodies and our minds like a temple, actually cleansing it, actually being careful about the content what we consume. You know, being mindful of what we're letting into our ears, into our spirits, into our minds. You know, because you don't want to become the very content that you consume, right? But we aren't thinking like this. We just consume everything. And social media and all this stuff I'm mentioning, which I will also bring up in the future, they make it so easily obtainable. And they also tie it to your comfort and your attention span. You know, you'll have someone talking about some straight bullshit while playing Subway Surfers in the background, and you're just watching that. Your dopamine receptors are going through the roof. You know, you can actually sit there and pay attention and absorb what it is they're trying to push, changing your very nature mentally and spiritually, right? So moving on. Well, not moving on actually. I wanted to say this before I move on, that I found myself trying to be careful of the content that I consume, because I don't want to be influenced by anything else other than what needs to actually influence me to grow spiritually and mentally. Because social media can genuinely cause you depression, it can give you anxiety, it'll make you compare yourself to other people, etc. And I found myself falling victim to that, and I'm just like, you know what? No. Like, I don't want to go through that kind of shit, you know? And even like my friends, they'll send me like videos, and it'll be like overly sexualized, or it'll be overly violent and just ghetto and hood rat shit, and I'm just like, bro, like, I don't even reply to it, because I don't want to, because like, that's not the kind of content I'm trying to consume. You know, and I'm not like being a pussy or anything, it's just that you kind of want to have your brain to be at like top condition. You know, you want to be mentally stable. And I don't know, maybe other people don't have that problem, but social media can definitely knock you off balance. At least in my experience, you know, and I've seen it too in life and how people are moving nowadays. So be careful of the content you consume, especially if you have kids. You know, you don't want them consuming just anything. Because in adolescence, these are the most influential years of your life, you know, that can shape you into who you're going to become later on in life. And you don't want to have your child being risen in all this lust, all this violence, and substance abuse. You know, and these rappers glorify that, thinking that it's cool to do these things, and it's just simply not. You know, nothing wrong with, you know, if you like, I don't do it myself. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that shit. But if you do that shit, I mean, hey, that's on you, bro. That's cool and all, but like, it's just not. That's just not for me. And a lot of people don't do it because they want to do it. They do it because other people are doing it. They think that the shit is cool. They think that it's the wave, and they follow that. and you need to just follow yourself. People are afraid of not being accepted into society, so they conform to society. The psychologist and author Rollo May says that the opposite of courage is not cowardice in our society, it's conformity. And you could interpret that in many ways, but my main interpretation is that you're afraid to rock the boat of the ship. You know, you may be against what society is following, what agenda is being pushed onto it, but your cowardice is allowing you to just blindly follow it, even though in your spirit you know it's not right. But you don't want to be alone. You want to fit in with everyone else, not knowing that not fitting in is what makes you different. It separates you from the rest. And people are afraid of that solitude, that loneliness that can come with just being one step ahead mentally than everyone else. But anyways, I'm probably going to go into a part 2 because I don't want to make the videos way too long, because I am a certified yapper and I will talk for hours, not getting to my point. And like I said, I don't want to make the content like super short either. I kind of want to go into detail and talk from experience, while also, you know, showing you how this is happening in other people's lives as well. But I'm just gonna go into a part 2, you know, and I'm going to touch on the other topics that I didn't touch on in this video. So anyways, if you made it this far in the video, you actually sat through this and listened to me speak, thank you. You know, I appreciate it, you know, that you have an attention span not of a toddler. You know, you actually, you know, find this to be intriguing or whatever the case may be. I just appreciate you, you know, taking the time out of your day to sit here and listen to this, because you don't have to, you know. So anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next one.
Sanders is going to Colorado. I mean, I don't blame him for not taking the Auburn dog. Colorado? Trash.